Hey everyone, Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays. My name is Michael and I want to welcome you to the channel. Now, if you enjoy chilling, unexplained true stories, then you are in the right place. I'd love for you to hit that subscribe button and to join me as we explore the strange, the mysterious, and the true. So let's get right into it. On Christmas Day, while families gathered around warm lights, good food, wrapped gifts, a man descended into freezing black water. Now, he brought oxygen, he brought lights, and most importantly, he brought his confidence. But what he did not bring was permission. Now, hours later, his truck was still parked, his phone still untouched, and the cave that he entered refused to give him back. This is the chilling disappearance of Ben McDaniel. Now, there are places on this planet that don't feel evil, but they feel hungry. They feel scary and they just want to take. They don't chase you, they don't threaten you, they simply wait. And deep beneath this calm crystal blue waters of Vortex Springs in Florida, there's a cave system that is so dangerous that even veteran divers describe it with fear in their voices when they talk about it. And many expert divers refuse to even enter it and dive it altogether. Now, this cave has claimed many lives before, and on Christmas Day 2010, it may have claimed another. Now, Ben McDaniel, he was 30 years old. Ben was very intelligent, he was restless, curious to fault, and friends, when they talk about him, they describe him as very thoughtful but very intense. Someone who can become all consumed by new interests and new hobbies. And in the months leading up to Christmas 2010, Ben had developed an obsession that would define the rest of his life. And that obsession is cave diving. Now, unlike normal scuba diving, cave diving offers no direct route back up to the surface. There is no sunlight, it's completely dark, and there's no emergency ascent in case something happens. Just tight stone corridors and silt that can literally blind you instantly, and the constant ticking on your clock of your oxygen supply. Now, most people who dive cave diving, they're not amateurs. They're actually experts that made a mistake. But Ben was not an expert. Now, Vortex Springs looks harmless. It looks beautiful on the outside, clear blue water. You see families enjoying the day, palm trees, and really it's just a very popular swimming destination. But beneath that calm surface lies a submerged cave system that you can't see that drops straight down like a vertical throat into darkness. Now, at around 60 feet down, the light disappears altogether. Now, from there, the cave it twists into narrow passageways where one wrong kick can turn clear water into total blackness. And if you lose visibility inside of a cave system, you're already dead because you can't see anything. You don't know where you're going. Because panic doesn't kill you, but running out of air is what kills you. Ben knew about Vortex Springs. He's wanted to explore it. He always has wanted to explore it since the moment he learned about it. But there was a big problem with that. The cave owner and the staff, they all refused to let Ben dive this cave because Ben, he did not have a cave diving certification, and you had to have that to dive it. They told him it was too dangerous. They told him that many people have died there before, and they simply flat out told him no. But Ben, he kept arguing, and he insisted, look, I'm capable of diving this. And he returned again and again, speaking with them about diving this cave. And eventually, staff allowed Ben to dive, but only under very strict limitations. There was no entering restricted cave areas because there was a lot of restricted areas there, no deep penetration, and no exploration beyond his limits. And Ben agreed to that. At least that's what he told them. So on December 24th, 2010, Christmas Eve, Ben arrived at Vortex Springs alone. Staff remembered him being very calm, very quiet, and very focused. Now, he mentioned going for a dive, which is nothing unusual to the staff and anyone that knows him there. Now, no one knew that this would be the last day that Ben McDaniel was ever seen alive. So Christmas morning came and went. Ben never surfaced. At first, staff simply assumed that, hey, he finished the dive early and he left. We simply didn't see him until someone noticed something deeply wrong. Ben's truck was still parked in the same location. It was locked, and inside of the truck, when they searched it, because they were worried, they found his wallet, they found his keys, and they found his phone. Now, everything that he would need to leave was there, except Ben himself. And that's when fear really began to set in amongst the staff members. Now, emergency teams were immediately called in, and rescue divers began entering the cave to search for Ben. Now, they followed standard procedure. They checking known paths from mistakes in the past, people that have died, watching for bubbles, scanning the different walls to see if they could see anything, any clues. But the cave was completely quiet. It was almost too quiet. There was no signs of struggle. There was no floating debris, and there was no broken equipment that they could see or that was floating around them. Then they noticed something very horrifying. So Ben's primary guideline, it's the rope that divers use to find their way back out so that you don't get lost, it was missing. So without it, a diver is effectively blind. Can't see, don't know where they're going. So if Ben had gone deeper than he was allowed to go, he may have never found his way back out without this rope. Now, days into the search, divers made a very disturbing find. So Ben's scuba tanks were located deep inside of the cave, and they were standing upright, placed very carefully. It was almost as if they were set there and placed very deliberately. Now, experienced cave divers, they were, rightfully so, they were extremely baffled. It didn't make sense because divers don't abandon tanks like that. So, not unless something went very, very wrong, of course. Now, there was still no body. They were unable to locate him. There were no clues. And this is really when the mystery begins to really kind of, cause chills amongst everybody because in most cave diving fatalities, the body is found nearby. The equipment is scattered all around, and you can clearly see signs of panic. But in this case with Ben, nothing. There was none of that. There was no remains. There was no torn suit, and there was no evidence of collapse trapping him. Now it was as if the cave basically just swallowed him whole and took him and he never came back. Elite cave divers were actually, or they reached out to elite divers to come in and actually help search for Ben. Men who had seen death underwater knew what they were looking for. And these divers knew this cave immediately. They searched deeper. They risked their lives all on Christmas. And when they returned, they were absolutely shaken to the core. Several divers stated on record that Ben's disappearance made absolutely no sense whatsoever. So even if he had run out of air, even if Ben began to panic and struggle, even if Ben had become trapped inside the cave system, something should have been found. A clue should have been seen. But the cave offered none of that, nothing at all. So eventually the search was called off, but not because they found answers. It was called off because the cave was actually too dangerous to continue down into and to continue the search. Now, officials did ultimately they ruled Ben's disappearance an accidental cave diving death. Case closed. But Ben's family did not accept it. They refused to accept that. Ben's parents believed that something far worse must have happened. They believed that Ben was actually murdered. Now, why did they think this? Because Ben had quite a few conflicts with people near the cave. And this was a very kind of like a localism area, because his equipment placement felt staged, because caves don't usually erase people completely, and because Ben was seen arguing with locals weeks before his disappearance. So to them, the cave was, a convenient gravesite, if you will. Now, others believe that Ben ultimately planned this, that he staged his own death, that he placed the tanks there intentionally to be found and to be seen. But that theory collapses under scrutiny. Because once again, Ben, what did he leave behind? As we mentioned earlier, he left his money behind, he left his ID behind, and he left his phone behind. And he was never seen again. There was no sightings of Ben whatsoever, no trail, no trace at all. Not once. Now, years later, another diver entered Vortex Springs, and ultimately, he did not return. He didn't come back either. This time, the cave actually returned the body. They were able to locate the body so they knew what had happened, right? And so this only deepened the mystery. So if the cave could give him back, why wouldn't it give Ben back? So imagine the last moments. The water is freezing. It's very, very cold. Your light cuts through darkness, but only a few feet. You can only see about maybe 1 to 2 feet in front of you. One wrong movement, one wrong movement at all, silt explodes into the water. So basically it causes all this fog, and you really can't see. Visibility drops from 1 to 2 feet to completely zero. You can't even see your own hands waving in front of your face. You don't know which way leads out, which way you need to go. If you're going deeper, if you're going to the surface, your breathing gets faster. You begin to struggle. Your gauge starts to drop, and the cave does not care. So, what really happened to Ben McDaniel? Was he trapped in a tunnel that nobody knew existed, that no one has found till this day, but maybe Ben did find? Did the cave collapse slightly behind him? And it really makes you wonder, or did something happen before he ever even entered the water? And that question still haunts divers till this day. Some refuse to dive Vortex Springs at all, and they say that the cave just feels wrong. It just gives you this eerie feeling, just diving it, being anywhere around it. Now, unfortunately, his family had to have spent Christmas without answers. So while other families were celebrating Christmas, the cave claimed silence. There was no screams, no farewell, and there was no body, just an empty truck and a mystery buried beneath stone and water. Ben McDaniel went into the cave on Christmas, and the cave never gave Ben back. Because sometimes the scariest places on earth don't need monsters, they are the monster. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed the story of Ben McDaniel. Um, if you enjoyed it and you want more content like this, please hit the subscribe button, and I hope to catch you on the next video. See you soon.